In this video, we're going to review order of operations. Now this is review from last semester, so in a moment I will give you an option if you feel like you already understand this concept. Okay, but I'm on page 4, and your notes need to look like mine regardless of how you choose to engage with them. Okay, so first we're going to just make sure that we have in your notes what the order of operations is. And what the order of operations is it's just a way that we all agree that we're going to do the math so we all get the same answer, right? Because if we all did it different ways, then we'd be confused. So we first deal with any grouping symbols. Those are usually parentheses. Okay. Occasionally we'll see brackets like this. And fraction bars are also grouping symbols, right? So like this is one group on top of a fraction, and this is another group on the bottom of a fraction. Next comes exponents. This is going to be a huge topic for us. Okay, so those little numbers can be squared, cubed. Okay. The next is multiplication and division. Okay, from left to right. So multiplication and division happen at the same time, and let's say you have both multiplication and division. You go from left to right. You don't necessarily do multiplication first. Okay, multiplication can look a lot of different ways. It can look like a multiplication dot. If you have something like 5x, that's multiplication, right? A number next to a variable. Sometimes we use parentheses for multiplication. We don't really use the multiplication sign in high school just because we get confused. It looks like an X. And then division, right? We can have division sign, but more often we see a fraction for division. And then last is when we deal with addition and subtraction. And again, it's left to right, so you don't necessarily do addition first. If you have both addition and subtraction, you just do what's on the left first. So in this video, I'm going to do 3 examples, and I'm going to write down the examples first. And if you're like, meh, I know how to do this, then go ahead. You're just going to go ahead and do the examples and just kind of fast forward and check them, rather than, necessarily it's not necessary that you listen to me go over something that you already know how to do. Okay, but this is example number 1. Example number 2 is this. And if you kind of think you have it, it's actually a really great way to learn. If you wanted to try and then watch the video and see okay, what mistakes did I make? That's a wonderful way to learn. It might take a little bit more time than just watching, but you might get a lot out of it too. So those are the 3 examples. If you want to just copy them down, you can pause right now and make sure you have them. But I'm going to go through each one. Okay, example number 1. I see there's some grouping symbols, so I'm going to deal with that first. So I'm ignoring everything else. And I see that inside the grouping symbols, I actually have 2 operations. I have subtraction and I have an exponent. So I'm going to do the exponent first. So watch, I'm bringing down everything that's not the grouping symbols. I'm just copying. 3 squared, that's 3 times 3, that's 9. Bringing down everything else. I still have grouping symbols, so I'm still dealing with only the grouping symbols. I decided to continue to use parentheses to represent, this now represents multiplication, right? When there's a number right next to parentheses, that's multiplication. I could have also written 4 multiplication dot 2. That's just sort of personal preference. 4 times 2 is 8. And then finally I have only subtraction left, and I do that last subtraction, boxing my answer so it's nice and neat. Next example problem. Again, I have grouping symbols first. Okay. I notice that here I have addition and subtraction. Okay, and remember, it happens from left to right. So a lot of us get stuck thinking, okay, we do addition first because PEMDAS A comes first. But nope, addition and subtraction happens from left to right. So I'm going to bring down everything else. 7 minus 3 happens first. That's 4. Okay, and then still inside the parentheses we have some math to do. And that's 5. Okay. Now, if we would have done the addition first, we would have gotten a different answer, right? 3 plus 1 would have been 4, and then 7 minus 4 would have been 3. So it's important that we do it in the correct order. Now here, we have multiplication, and we have an exponent. the exponent comes first. So we do 5 squared first before we multiply by 6. So 5 times 5, 5 squared is 25. And I can write it, I could do this, put it in parentheses, and put the 25 like that. That would be totally fine. Okay, that's what I did on the previous example. I'll do it a different way just so you can see. Okay, 6 times 25. So let's see, how much money would I have if I had 6 quarters? I'd have 150 cents, right? $1.50. 6 times 25. All right, last example. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in. So wherever I see an A, I'm going to put a 3. Wherever I see a B, I'm going to put a -5. Okay, so 2. This is 2 times A, so I'm putting the 3 in parentheses, right? That still represents multiplication. And the squared plus 10 over B is -5. Okay, what comes next? Let's see, I have multiplication here, I have an exponent, I have addition, I have division. Let's deal with the exponent first. 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9, so this becomes 2 times 9. Now I have multiplication here, I have division here, and I have addition here. The multiplication and division I can go ahead and do at the same time, right? Because ultimately I'm going to end up adding them together at the end. This is 18 plus 10 divided by -5. Positive divided by negative is negative, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. 18 plus -2, which is the same as 18 minus 2, which is 16. And now you have some notes and some examples to reference for you to go ahead and try the next practice assignment.